I'm Diego. I'm a senior developer advocate at MongoDB, being with the company 3.5 years, being in technology for longer, as you can tell. So today I want to do a hands-on demo on how to create a Devcontainer running MongoDB and a Node.js application. It's going to be something super simple. This is a live demo, and nothing bad happened during live demos ever, so I just hope that everything goes according to plan, so let's do it. So when I started developing and creating applications long time ago, I used to install everything in my computer. So I install everything, and after some time you get all these services and you are day in, day out doing PS or top or whatever you use in Windows, no? Just to see what is running, what is not running, trying to tweak all the services. But then I learned about Docker. So I decided that, okay, I will never ever again install anything directly in my system, because why? No, I can containerize everything. So I was like,
not using Brew on your machine, Brews.
Sorry?
You are not using the package manager of macOS.
Oh yeah. Well,
oh, yeah.
That for sure.
So we are not tokenizing everything.
I decided to containerize mostly everything. But not 100%, because I need things like you cannot containerize, as I can show you later. So the problem was that after learning Docker, you start wanting to do 2 machines or 3 machines, or you need to import something, and to import something into one machine, you need to run another container that connects to this container. You need to create a network, and then it's not only is Docker Compose, and then it's like, oh, just need to do this, and you go to Stack Overflow, and they've added another way to do it. It's the same as before, but with different keywords. And yeah, so you end up with something like this. So you end up with, this is a real file, 5 machines, 5 containers running to do imports. 3 in the end are actually running stuff. One is running Postgres, the other Mongo, and the other is running pgadmin. So yeah, you can see something. So okay, this is nice, but even to do imports, you need to do the import when my Postgres or my MongoDB is running. Know when the container has started. The problem is, to do that, you have to do a health check, and it's like a heartbeat, and you have to learn how to ask the database or the application in question, hey, are you there? Are you? Because what Docker is telling you is, oh, the container is up. I don't care about the container. I care about the application inside the container. So all this, was my first reaction. Okay, I'm going to develop using containers, but then I needed to learn everything about that, and it was like, this is not so funny. This is like, they are making fun of me. So I didn't like this, but then I discovered this thing, the development containers. Devcontainers are a specification. You can go to containers.dev. So this is an open specification that is built on top of Docker. Docker is prepared for DevOps. This is designed for devs. So the idea is, I'm a dev, I'm not DevOps. Docker is created to run stuff in production, to run containers that are in production, not to run containers while I'm developing in my machine. They are great, but they are not suited for the task. So basically, Devcontainers are simply another abstraction layer on top of Docker, using the same Docker files that you already know, so you can change everything. It's the same standard, but just adding some tweaks here and there to make your life simpler. So I'm going to create the container, because talking, you know what Linus Torvalds famously said, no? Like the idea is good, now show me the code. No? So I'm going to create here a completely Zurich. Did I spell that correctly? Mostly. So I'm going to create this, and I'm going to do an npm install. I don't know anything about Node, but the nice thing about this is autocomplete, works wonders. So so I can go ahead and install there Mongo. I'm installing here Express, which is how you create routes, how you create an API in Node. I already have Node.js installed here, but then I'm cheating because I have it on my machine, and I'm going to create here a quite simple index.js. So this is an empty file, as you can see. There's nothing there. I'm going to open this with a Visual Studio Code, because if not, nobody is going to see anything, and I will make this a tad bigger. As you can see, the index is completely, empty. Okay, I need to create something here, and any of you uses this thing, Visual Studio Code? Who uses Visual Studio Code? And who uses Visual Studio Code today with maybe Java, other day with a little bit of Python, next day with a little bit of C or whatever, no? So you keep installing extensions, and it bothers me a lot. Like in the end, you have like all these extensions, and it's like I'm doing Rust right now, and I still see the Python extensions. Well, not anymore. This is the most valuable thing you are going to learn today, and it's about this thing. So you can go here to Profiles. If you've never used this is the best thing you are going to learn this week. And it's that in Profiles, if you go here, you can create new profiles, and you can duplicate the profiles. You start always with the default one. And here, the one that is active, I don't know the name, but I think it's this one, is the Docusaurus. This is to write documentation using a system from Meta. But the one that I need is this one, is Node plus Q plus Devcontainers. This is the one that I really want. And you can see the extensions, and you can tweak everything. You are going to see that even the icons and the colors and stuff should change. Well, not in this case, because it has the same schema. But if I change, as you can see, C++, have you seen that? That everything, even the icon here, changes. So I go here, I activate this one. So you can have personalized colors, icons, just to instantly know which profile are you working with. You have to set the profile the first time you use a folder or a workspace. After that, it's set for forever, and it remembers the profile. So well, right now I have this profile to do Node.js applications, but I have a really empty thing. But I have Amazon Q. What is Amazon Q? Amazon Q is the co-pilot of AWS. So as today I'm wearing still the AWS reInvent stuff, I'm going to do it with Q. You can do the same stuff using Copilot or using Google GCP Gemini. Nobody uses that, but maybe so you can use that. There are other generators. So in this case, sorry?
Claude also.
Yeah. Claude is the LLM that is behind some of these generators, these commercial generators. So what I'm going to do is, as I don't exactly remember the prompt, I'm going to cheat and copy the prompt here, super quick, and put it here. So you can read it with me. Create me a Node.js Express application with a books root that connects to MongoDB library database and retrieves 10 books from the books collection, and using the official MongoDB driver and not Mongoose. So I will let Amazon Q generate something. Let's see. And oops, this looks legit. No, I have my books. Then I'm using directly the MongoDB client. So I'm using the driver. I'm not using in the Node.js world. You can use directly our driver, or you can use Mongoose, which is they call an ODM. It's an object data mapper. It's not an object relational mapper, because you don't need to transform between the objects in your application into tables. But it works the same in the end. So you create like classes, and they transform automatically into documents inside your collections. But the idea is you can also just create objects in your application and tell the driver, store this object. MongoDB, after all, is an object database. Although we call that documents, because at the time of MongoDB creation, the object databases had a really bad reputation. We are storing objects in buckets, and those buckets are the collections. Okay, so just so you get this idea, we are an object database. So this is connecting to a local MongoDB that doesn't exist right now. So I'm going to start with something like MongoDB plus serve. I should have this one, so I hope this is the right one. I'm not sure, so I'm going to use second something called Compass. You all use Compass or not, or maybe, or you know what Compass is. It's a UI application that you can use to connect to MongoDB. It's like a beauty UI to connect to MongoDB, just in case that you don't have Atlas. If you have Atlas, you can use just the browser or Compass. But if you are using a community edition or you are using enterprise advanced, you don't have a beautiful UI. This is your beautiful UI in that case. So this can do the same, and in some cases it can do more than the Atlas UI. In some cases it can do less than the Atlas UI. I'm not going into many details. I just want the, to connect to this database basically. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to copy the connection string just to be 100% sure that this one is the right one. As you can see, high security in my password. So yeah, and this is library. Okay, this should be running right now. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to start this thing. I'm here, no? So I'm going to make this thing node1 node index.js. So what this thing is doing is running here in localhost. It's running whatever is in the index, and it's waiting for changes. If I change something, the change should appear. So I'm going to open this, and sad screen. There's nothing in localhost 3000. Well, there's something, but there's no root. I haven't written any code that is responding to this root. But I can fix that, because as you can see, I'm listening to books, but I'm not listening to anything else. So I can do something like, oh, look at that. That's Amazon Q. How cute is this? So in case that you've never used one of these generators, consider using those as an IntelliSense++. No? If Microsoft, sorry?
Why don't you use something that can edit multiple files at once in your code?
In which sense? Which one?
Yeah, so you are having a simple application, one file application, yeah. But why don't you use something that can edit 5 different files at once?
Because, as I promise here, this is going to be in 10 minutes. So now that's the only reason is I don't want to make this overly complicated. I just want to have everything in just one file.
What do you mean? I think more cleaner architecture, but that's a kind of micro.
Yeah.
You just start one Express.js for this, and then you make another one. You can do what you want.
Also, I don't know. I'm old, so maybe I'm old and bitter, and I'm going back to the simple beauty of just writing everything together and just if the team knows what they are doing and you document things, it's incredible. And you just use simple stupid code. I tend to write code that sometimes is like, oh, I can do this in a clever way using polymorphism and whatever. Throw 2 ifs. It's like when I'm drunk, I can read 2 ifs. When I'm drunk, maybe I don't remember exactly how polymorphism is.
Why do you leave these comments in the...
You mean this prompt?
Yes.
No, once it's generated, you can delete it. So this prompt, this is just that's a good question actually.
But why don't you use the chat in code?
Yeah, I can also. Yeah, I can also use it, but I decided to. You can write like prose, no? You can write like a book and say, add me here, this and that and the other stuff, no? And you can see how the code is generated. It's a good way because if you read that, basically you get an idea what the application is going to do. You get like a really good, and I also, after all these years, if you are not able to write this, you don't know what you are going to write here. Basically, if you know what to write here, it means that you understand what you want your application to do, and then you understand how you want to write all your unit tests and stuff. If you are not able to describe with simple words, I want an application or a function that is doing this and that and taking this and should return that, and if this happened, then with simple words. If you are not going to explain that, most probably you don't understand the code. And I've been there many times. I've been there many times. I've written code that actually when I needed to explain, I was like, well, this is, this, well, it's obvious, no? As you can see in the code, well, this is doing here in line what you don't understand what the code is doing. You should be able to explain. No, so you can leave this or delete them. I just leave them because I only have 10 minutes in theory. So just to keep with, I just did this, I saved, And as you can see, this has been refreshed somehow. So if I go here, instead of an error, I get a hello world. So that means that this is working, and I can go to books, and I should get something. So this right now is connecting to my cluster in MongoDB Atlas. And as you can see, I'm getting books. I'm getting an array of 10 books. Why 10 books? Because I just, in my code, I did a limit here. So I'm just getting 10 books because I also tell the thing, I just want 10 books from the books collection.
Can you change, but that's more Amazon testing. If you can change the text above, you change the code. No?
You want to break my demo? Okay, why not? Yeah, I don't know, 20. I know I'm all for all. Why not? Let's do it.
It's more Amazon testing.
No suggestion from Amazon Q. So yeah, it is not reading this again. Maybe I can do something else. That is, change that into reading 20 books. Let's see if this thing is smart. No suggestion is not. That's when. Well, no. It's a good demo of AI is coming for our jobs, and it's like
It's coming.
maybe no. You cannot ask questions to create a system or fix a system that you don't understand in the first hand. So if I need to perform, I don't know, surgery to a horse, an LLM is not going to help me, because it's like, take the knife, that whatever, and cut the horse in, and it's like, which one? So asking questions, actually, I've in my own experimentation, I don't know about you, this is just pure opinion, it's not based on any facts, that this is good to create code that is repeated, not having to remember the 9th time or the 900th time how to write a for loop in whatever language you haven't touched in the last months. And it's really good for learning new languages when you already know a lot of other languages. So if you are starting with Go, let's say, you've never done any Go, and you want to just write a function in Go that takes, and you know what you want. It's like, I know, I want to find, I've written functions in many languages, so I just want to know how to do it in Go right now. So for that kind of learning, those tools are amazing. And for generating code while in production. So if you have a team and you expose the code of the team to the LLM, at some point the LLM is going to start writing code as your team is doing, using the same idioms, the same style of coding. So for that is good. But there's no brain, behind this thing. So let me, this is good and whatever, but this is still running in my laptop. So I'm cheating, right? Because where is this thing running? This thing is running in my Mac. So this is Darwin kernel. Darwin is the Mac OS kernel. It's the Unix system file compatible thing that runs here. So this is not running actually in a container. I wanted to show the container, but it's going to be super difficult. Well, first I need to launch Docker, which should be running. I don't know, maybe it's not running. Now it's running, Docker. So this is everything about Devcontainers is built on top of Docker. There's no new magic hanging around here. It's the same stuff. So I'm going to create here a Devcontainer configuration file. I'm going to add the configuration to this workspace. I'm going to search in this case for MongoDB. Ooh, I have Node.js and MongoDB already. So I just click there. It's the last version of this container. I don't want any of these libraries, although you can add libraries if you want. I don't need for this simple application. I don't need that. And then I don't need the dependable. You know what this is? This is just to get security alerts, and you can configure that in GitHub. I don't need that. So I will do OK, and a new folder will appear here. So this is the new folder. And as you can see, I have this reopening container. So I can click this. Well, I don't know what I'm doing, but I just click buttons around. So let's see what this thing is doing. So what this thing is doing right now is it has started 2 containers. One is running Node, and the other one is running MongoDB. Diego, I don't believe you. Okay, you are right. You shouldn't believe me. You should always believe the terminal and stuff like that. So if I do a Docker PS As you can see, I just created these two. One is running Mongo, the latest version, and the other is going to run the app. And these two are up and running. So I actually have two containers running. Well, nice. You convince me, but how can I know that this thing is inside the container? I can go to the terminal and open it, and as you can see, the problem is different. And if I print the name of this machine, I'm not anymore inside I'm inside a Linux machine. And this Linux machine actually has all the code here. I think it should have some node inside here, but what is best is that it has an empty. See, if I do a show DBs here, as you can see, there's no databases here. So I can now, if I want, I can now import my data in here and run the same application, and everything should work as it was.
Can you show us a container of the Devcontainer just for fun?
Oh yeah.
Kind of template generator? Or
No. I'm going to show a little bit about this. So yeah, I see that you're curious. So that's good. But for this, no, that's good. I have this. That is going to explain a little bit more. So now you've seen what is the Devcontainer thing, mostly. No? So this creates two containers, as I just showed you. And the application is going to be this. It's there with the roots. I just wanted to put in here this quote from John Page, that MongoDB is just a modern relational transactional database. That's it. It's nothing fancy. The fanciness of MongoDB comes from the fact that you can have arrays and you are not tied by the third formal norm, and then is closer to do object-oriented programming than to do imperative programming. So that's when the problems start, because when I started doing OOP with Java, I committed crimes against the developer humanity, in the sense that I put everything in one class. I put the construction of the class inside the class, whatever the class was doing inside the class. If I need to manage, if I was doing like, I don't know, people, and then I want a group of people, why not put a function inside people that also manages groups of people? Just put everything in just one class. It's a 1,000 line class. It's beautiful. It's doing everything. Not a good idea. Then I started learning about design patterns. Yeah, the factory, all the design patterns.
Yeah, the same.
Yeah. So it's like, but you start and you have so much power.
And then blah blah blah, and it's a never-ending story.
Yeah, but
always something better in a few years.
Yes, but you learn about design patterns, and then you have this vocabulary to communicate with other developers. And instead of a ball of math, your code starts like looking like. So in MongoDB is mostly the same. You can do you can link data using numbers, as you do with relational. So you can reference stuff, but also you can embed stuff. And there is when the problems start. It's like, okay, before I only had like one way to do relations and third formal norm. That was it. So it was simple to reason about. Now I have two ways to do it. Which one should I use now? And people started doing stuff that then down the line they found some problems. So that's why we also have a schema design patterns. If you go to the MongoDB blog, you will find many posts around schema design patterns. Okay, so MongoDB is this, that I'm going to improve, and you wanted to see this. So if you go to this containers.dev, there's a few keys that you can change in the dev container. This one, for instance, is quite interesting. So when your dev container starts, as this is meant to be used for developers, you can load any and every Visual Studio Code extension that you need. So you want that when your dev container starts, you load this extension and this other, and you're going to see why in a second. Also, you can change the attributes of the port. You can expose ports, because doing this using Docker is not the simplest thing. Like you have two machines running, two containers, and you want from this container you want to see the other container. Yeah, well, you can do it, but here is super simple. It's just create the ports, and you can even give the ports names. You can expose them. You can forward the ports to be able to see them from the outside. Not only one container can see a port from the other container. It's like I can see both containers from here, from this machine. Also, we have this Mongoose, and I'm going to show you something else. And I think it's here. It's still here. And it's that and this is the icing, no, on the cake, is that you can run this on GitHub code spaces, and you will see what is this. So if I go to GitHub and I go to, I presume is what is this thing? It should be here. So let's see if I don't need to Devcontainer them. Why not this one? This one is good. Here I have a Devcontainer file and some files here, Mongo and whatever. Have you clicked on this button recently? Never. But you click once. You remember this button? Yes. In the past you click here, and what happened? What is disgusting about this button? That it will offer you can download a zip file of the repo, and then you looked in contempt to GitHub and you said, I'm a real developer. I clone repos. I don't need zip files or whatever. I just directly go git clone whatever stuff. And I'm going to use SSH for that, not even HTTPS as Diego is doing, because Diego is, doesn't know his stuff. So you can do this, and you've never used this part. You should never use this part. It's, never. But there's this code spaces stuff here running around. I already have one here that I'm going to delete. So you see that there's nothing here, nothing there. So I'm just going to do magic, but it's going to. So when you create a code space, what is this? As you can see, I also have a Devcontainer thing here with the same structure. Okay. So if you define here in the Devcontainer, I want to run 2 machines or 3 machines on 20, whatever number of machines, and they should be listening this port and that other port, and they should be this Linux with this tool and this other tool. What this thing is going to do is going to start that, but not using my local Docker. This is going to use GitHub's containers. So this is using GitHub's Docker. And in the end, it's going to open me in a browser Visual Studio Code. This is not my local Visual Studio Code. This is running inside the browser. So it's going to show me a Visual Studio Code connected to these 2 containers, or whatever number of containers you have, and with all the code from your repo freshly cloned here. So now you can do all your development directly in the browser, because this is Visual Studio Code. You can even install new extensions. You can do whatever you want. So once this thing has started, it takes a little bit because it's starting the containers. It's actually most probably downloading the containers and then starting those. I already did this in my machine. I had the images cached. So in my case, it was like, oh, this is super fast, no? Because I was cheating. Well, not cheating. It's called caching. So developers call that caching. But anyways, when this thing starts, you can have a look at the code, you can change the code, and you can even submit pull requests from here. So how about that? So this is really good not to do, obviously, changes in production from the beach. That I shouldn't advise that. Although you can do it, don't do it. You can do it, but don't do it. This is really good if you, for instance, you want to hire, a new team member, and you want them to do a really, test. Not instead of asking them to reverse a B-tree or some of these stupid lead code, questions that hang around all the time. It's like,
which I don't do with LLM.
I just refuse.
An LLM asking question to a new employees, and the employee use an LLM.
Yeah, well, but all in all, when I get any of those companies, I always say, like, are you going to ask a lawyer with 25 years of experience what is Article 2 of whatever law? He's going to just laugh at you and then charge you for the time. He's going to bill you for that time. That's what's going to happen. You don't ask a surgeon with 25 years of experience, how is this bone called, or whatever, trivia question doesn't make any sense. But we are here still doing these trivia stupid questions. What you can do is prepare an application with 10 bucks. Why not? And you can run it here, and you give it to this person, and you say, okay, this application has 10 bucks. The screens when this thing is working should look like this. Go and fix them. And then that's it. If they know, they know. If they've never navigated a code base, and then you can apply there all the patterns that you want. I mean, like, it shouldn't have to be a really stupid. It shouldn't have to be another clone of connecting to this API and getting movies or whatever. You can actually see if the person knows how code works. So I found this really good for learning purposes, for onboarding people, for defining how you want your code to be written, and also in a pinch, you can even go in production and change stuff. Don't do it. I am not, advising for that. But don't you find this extremely, powerful, and that you can come here and just change stuff? It's like, how about this? It's the API server. This API server is listening there, and if I connect to the forwarder port, I don't know if I'm going to get something because I don't know what is inside there. Oh, hello world, API is working. How about this? So there's this hello world is responding there. So how about this? How cool is this? Actually, I should be able to hit the contacts root, and it should give me no contacts because I have an API here. Get contacts is giving me all the contacts, but I can post and I can delete contacts, and I can, so in this case I can send this and it will add stuff to this database that is running here. So just to finalize, because if not, this is not 10 minutes, I was lying. Running in GitHub code spaces, really, I should get paid by Microsoft because I'm really in love with this technology. I mean, it's a really clever way to use a ton of different open stuff and stuff that they have, like GitHub and Visual Studio Code and the Visual Code extensions and Docker and Devcontainers, and you put together all this stuff in a really clever way, and suddenly you get like a super powerful machine generator, because you can also put Copilot in there, and you don't need like the super advanced, super powerful computer. Any laptop that can run a browser can do this. You just need a laptop that can use a browser. So this is, for that, is really good. I mean, and also this is free, 120 hours a month. After 10 minutes of inactivity, the container stops, so it goes to sleep. But other than that, if you're using it for development day to day, without paying a dime, you get 120 hours. So that was it. I hope you learned something, and thank you for having me in this improvised talk.